Never in the previous 11 years of this event has a woman won this tournament more than once. In bowling circles, they call it the Rockford Jinx. I want to call on my partner, Virginia Norton. And Virginia, the Rockford Jinx is living in 1984.
It certainly is. We have 5 different television finalists, none of whom have won the Rockford Classic. Also, the closest any previous champion got this year was Pat Costello, who narrowly missed in the position round last night.
Hey, Virginia, now you won this Rockford tournament in 1975. Why is it you haven't been able to win this in the last 9 years for a second time?
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the depth of talent on our tour. It also has to do with everybody feels very, very relaxed here in Rockford, so they put out a very good effort.
You know, if you and I are doing this tournament 30 years from now, maybe we'll come on the air around the country and say, hey, 30 years in Rockford, 30 different champions. What do you think?
It's a good possibility, especially with the young players that are coming out and being so strong.
All right, Virginia, looking forward now to checking out the field here in the Rockford Finals.
Well, Dwayne, not only are they very nice-looking women bowlers, but they're professional athletes in every sense of the word. 3 of the ladies today have been champions, but never here at Rockford. And 2 of them are still looking for that all-important first title. In 5th position is Dana Miller from Albuquerque, New Mexico, a 5-year touring pro with 3 titles. Last year in Tempe, Arizona, she swept through the television finals, averaging .246 for the 5 matches. Her opponent in the opening match is Leila Wagner from Dallas, Texas. She is in her 5th year on tour, but still looking for her first title. She has had a slow start this year and is making her first television appearance of 1984. The winner of that match will go on to meet Robin Romeo of Beverly Hills, California, a 3-time champion who finished 2nd here 2 years ago. She is making her 2nd TV Finals of the year, regaining her confidence in top form after a wrist injury sidelined her in 1983. Our 2nd position bowler is Carol Norman from Ardmore, Oklahoma, 1982 Rookie of the Year, and making her 3rd TV Finals of 1984. She has gotten over the TV jitters and is taking her time and showing more determination than ever. And our tournament leader this week is Aleta Sill from Cocoa, Florida, a 5-time pro champion looking for her 3rd title of 1984. She is certainly this year's early leader for the Bowler of the Year race, and a victory here would make her position stronger than ever.
And that's our field. Now, before the first match, we have a special presentation. And with us is the Secretary of the Bowling Writers Association of America, Jim Fitzgerald. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Dwayne. Thank you very much. As we have done in the past here at the Rockford Tournament, we award our special award to that young lady who has achieved the outstanding in bowling. She has been named the Woman Bowler of the Year by the 370 members of the Bowling Writers Association of America. And in 1983, that selectee was Lisa Rathgeber of Florida. Lisa, I'd like to present you with this silver bowl in commemoration of your outstanding 1983 year, and I hope you have many more to come.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to thank the Bowling Writers of America. I certainly couldn't have done it without them, I guess you could say. Felt like last year I had a lot of breaks. Things kind of went my way on TV shows, and I'd like to win from the #1 spot sometime, but last year it kind of went from either 2nd, 4th, or 6th, but maybe one of these days from the top spot. But I had a lot of breaks, and it felt real good.
I know you're proud of that. Congratulations. Now, we'll be back with our first match of these Rockford Finals. Dana Miller taking on Leila Wagner right after these messages. Dana Miller out of New Mexico, past U.S. Open champion.
Yes, and certainly one of the great stylists in the game. Dana has a great arm swing and a very nice knee bend that gives her quite a bit of leverage.
First shot of the finals. So Dana Miller into the pocket, and the 10-pin wobbles and stands.
And that's just a plain unfortunate break. She threw a great shot, got a bad break. She'll need to make this fair. The girls have been striking well all week. If you didn't strike, you probably at least hit the pocket. So I expect a lot of good scores tonight.
42nd game of the tournament. She shot a .246 to make this field.
And I'm sure that was kind of a sigh of relief, because if one thing happened during the week that gave Dana a little bit of trouble, it was spares.
Looking for her first career title, Miss State of Washington from the year 1981. Lovely Leila Wagner, currently out of Dallas.
And Leila, maybe not a real veteran on television, but she's been there a few times.
This time, the 10-pin topper.
And she gets the good break that Dana did not, and that's exactly what is going to probably make the winner in each one of these matches. That girl which can carry more strikes, put more of those strings of strikes together.
We're even at the end of one frame. Winner of this match will play California bowler Robin Romeo. Winner of that match will be Carol Norman. Aleta Sill is our tournament leader. Second frame. High, the 4-7.
And if anything, all she did on that shot was to let up on the speed. And when she did that, the ball had too much of an opportunity to break. She was really fortunate not to leave a split.
This Rockford, Illinois, Virginia is a great bowling town. These people are wired. They're ready for these finals.
Yes, and you know, it's really nice to be here every year because you see so many of the same faces. You bowl in the Pro-Am, and you bowl with people you've bowled with for maybe 7 or 8 years.
So Dana Miller coming up in the second frame. She needs a strike to keep this match even. She's in that red. She told me that she loved to play field hockey in her undergraduate days at the University of New Mexico. Fine all-around athlete.
Well, besides that, she's very much into music and crocheting.
And leaving the 6-pin.
A little bit high. Again, no breaks on the carry. Dana definitely is wired into the pocket. She just has to get a few more breaks as far as getting 10 pins to fall at one time. She certainly had no problem, however, when she bowled in Tempe, Arizona just a little over a year ago. Bowling scores of 255, 269, 236, 246, and 226.
Leila Wagner leads by a pin at the end of 2 frames. Looking at glamorous Dana Miller. What a memorable confrontation she had with our current tournament leader, Aleta Sill, for the U.S. Open Championship when Miller defeated Sill for that title in 1983. That was in St. Louis. Here we're in Rockford, Illinois. You see that good crowd in the background. As Miller, coming off a second frame spare, bowls in the third frame. That familiar knee bend, shaking.
And this time she's a little bit light, but she's able to mix those pins out. So now, after 2.5 frames, she's only 1 pin down. Dana's great extension here at the foul line. She's going to be just a little bit light, but watch this pin action. She loves that kind of pin action.
Now, Leila Wagner trying to keep her lead with this shot. She goes Brooklyn, and she leaves the 6-pin, which Miller left earlier.
If anything, I talked to Leila before the show, and she said this whole week she's had a whole different attitude. She had a very bad tournament just a little while ago. She was not even thinking about coming to this tournament because it was Rockford. She decided to come ahead, and she's very happy she did. But she looks a little more tense than she has the entire rest of the week.
We are even at the end of 3 frames. Each player with 39 pins in the second and a mark-up in the third. Here's Wagner working on a spare. Now calls Dallas home. Attended the University of Washington and well known for being named Miss State of Washington for 1981. Good shot.
That's a little bit more like the Leila we saw the rest of the week. I think she's trying to stay a little bit too subdued, and that's not Leila on television at all. And here's a lady that we certainly have seen be anything but subdued in some of her television matches.
She's animated. Miller trying to take the lead with a double here in the fourth. A woman from New Mexico. Her dad is retired police chief in Albuquerque and a bowler.
Just watch this excellent arm swing. Watch how low she gets at the foul line. That just gives her a little extra leverage and gets the ball to hook back into the pocket. That time for a strike.
Dana Miller taking the lead by 10 pins. Trying for a turkey in the fifth frame. And another shaking strike for Dana Miller.
Yes, but that's the kind of breaks that you had to get. If you can't get them solid, here you were able to get the pins to scatter around. Watch this shot where she hits just barely nicks the head pin, but she has it coming off the wall, and she carries all of them.
Now look at Leila Wagner is on a strike, trying to keep pace with Dana. Narrowly missing a split and leaving the 4-7.
Leila still looks like she's a little bit stiff, a little tense right now. I'm sure she's a little frustrated with her own performance. She doesn't have the same fluid arm swing she had the rest of the week, and because of that, the speed is not consistent. If anything, on these lanes, I can tell you from experience, speed consistency was the thing that made you a winner.
And going after the spare, which she picks up. Leila Wagner in pursuit of her first tour title.
Right now, it's not looking good, but we've got 4 frames to go, so anything can happen right there.
Wagner trails by 20 at the end of 5. Her opponent is on a run of strikes, 3 in a row, and Wagner has had 2 strikes in 5 frames, but has yet to back them up. Now she's coming off a spare, trying to start a run here in the 6th.
That was better.
It was late. She just missed the bucket leave and left the 2-4-5.
Now, what happened on this shot is she freed up her arm swing. She had much better speed, but she had adjusted from the ball going high. So now when she rolls the ball properly, it's a little bit too light, and she now has to pick up the 2-4-5.
Leila getting set, intent, very, very serious about this sport. Ooh, she missed. That is the first error we've had in the opening match of these finals in Rockford, Illinois.
And what an opportunity that gives Dana Miller. Leila just pulled the ball a little bit on this spare shot. She was hoping to go left of the 2-pin and convert, but as you can see, she chopped it and left the 5.
Bad open by Leila, following Dana Miller's turkey in frames 3, 4, and 5 is enough to end this one early. Miller strikes again in the 6th, 8th, and 9th frames. Leila Wagner just couldn't get it together for this match and finishes with a 174. Dana Miller winds up with a 220. Woman from New Mexico, Robin Romeo from California. First shot, and she is not letting up.
She certainly isn't, and that's the one thing you kind of look for when someone has won as easily as she did the last match. But even toward the end of the match, she didn't let up at all. And one good reason is she had to meet Robin Romeo in this second match.
Robin Romeo, who was runner-up here 2 years ago, did not bowl because of injury here last year. And her runner-up status a couple of years ago points up a phenomenon regarding this tournament.
It certainly does. We talked about the Rockford jinx in that we've had 11 champions in 11 years. This year is no different. However, in the 11 tournaments we've already had, 5 of the ladies that were runner-up the next year went on to victory. So with Robin being sidelined and not bowling this tournament last year, she is still in that position.
And what a position that ball was in, converting that 3-10 split.
That's right. Something else that we might mention about Robin, she really likes this pair. 2 years ago here, when she was runner-up, she bowled 289 on the TV pair in Rockford, Illinois.
Second frame for Romeo. Big split conversion. Oh, what a nice roll. What a shot.
And that's what we've seen all week.
Shaping up as a great battle. Dana Miller, after a rather easy victory over Leila Wagner, now trying to double up in the second frame. to take an early lead on Robin Romeo. Dana Miller, wired and locked in right now.
And starting to become very, very animated.
How far can she run?
I've seen her run 3 or 4 lanes when the going gets tough and the game gets down to the last 2 or 3 frames.
The woman in the red dress. Lively personality. Quite an athlete. She's done a lot athletically. 27 years old. Out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. What a style. And a third strike.
Miller starts off this match with a turkey, and Romeo doubles in the second and third. Robin then spares the next 3 frames, and Dana strikes in the 5th but opens in the 7th. We return to Robin Romeo in her 7th frame with a chance to get back in it.
Right now, Romeo is right up there and a lead of 1 pin for this woman, Robin Romeo, at this point. And she comes in with a key strike. So she really does the job on count there to retain her 1-pin lead. That strike enabled her to retain her 1-pin lead.
That's right. This is a very important shot for Robin. She wants to roll the ball well, and she definitely was solid on that one.
The likable Californian, great talent. You have a great contrast in styles here, and Robin now leaving the 6-7, and so the shoe is on the other foot.
It certainly is. Robin, again, a little problem with her timing. Because of that, she was off balance at the foul line and pulled the ball across her body. She went through the nose. This time, she wasn't able to break the split down. So unless she converts this split, she's going to hand the opportunity in this match right back to Dana Miller.
In the 7th frame, trying to pick it up. Should she have gone for just 1? No, she...
At this point in the match, it's debatable. She gave away 2 extra pins, but at the same time, the closing frames are here, and she knew how much it meant.
And that open really hurt. Dana Miller spares the 8th and 9th frames. And we return to Robin Romeo, needing strikes and running out of time in the 9th frame.
Now, Robin. She really has to get rolling, trailing by 12 pins in the 9th. This one is a long way from being over.
That's right, and she is going to have to make a little bit of an adjustment here because she, on this lane, is okay, but on the other lane, she's been in trouble.
Strike now for Romeo in the 9th.
The important 9th frame she just struck in now gives her the opportunity to strike out and force Dana Miller to do the same thing. Dana Miller right now bowling at a 205 pace, Robin at 193, but if Robin can strike out, she'll shoot 213. Dana Miller would then be forced to get a double and 9 pins to win.
Let's watch the first shot of the 10th frame for Robin Romeo. And the 10-pin standing.
And she adjusted from going through the nose on the other shot. The ball just didn't finish well enough for the 6 to take the 10. An unfortunate break for Robin, but remember one thing. If Robin makes this spare, Dana must still get at least a good count to win the match. Dana has gone through the nose twice in a row on the right-hand lane.
And Romeo does pick up the spare, so the woman who was runner-up 2 years ago, didn't bowl because of injury here in Rockford last year, is alive, but barely, as she now has her final shot of this match, and if she can strike, would wind up with a 193.
And that, unfortunately, with that count, it leaves the door wide open for Dana Miller. Dana Miller, if she can get 9 pins on her first ball, will be the winner of the second match, and she'll go on to meet Carol Norman.
So, getting ready for what could well be the clinching shot. The slender, athletic left-hander from New Mexico on the verge of her second victory in these finals.
can't throw them any better than that.
And so Dana Miller defeats Robin Romeo 204 to 191. Will return to career title. Doesn't have it yet.
Yes, and she's had some very, very difficult losses on television, but she is starting to feel much more confident in front of the camera.
She throws a lot of ball, and she is coming on strong, making more and more finals.
Maybe another interesting thought is the girl that finishes higher in the standings prior to the television finals has the opportunity to decide which lane they want to finish on. Carol has opted for Dana to finish on the left-hand lane.
Dana goes through the nose, and a tough break as that middle pin goes out, leaving her a baby split to 2-7.
Maybe the one thing that is a little surprising about that, and this is a good indication of what I'm talking about, Dana has had problems on the right-hand lane. If I was in Carol's shoes, I think I would rather have Dana finishing on this lane, but Carol may feel much more confident on this lane, and that's the lane she will be finishing on.
Going open. During the course of the tournament's 42 games, Dana Miller's had some trouble with spares. We asked Dana if she is making any adjustments heading into the finals.
I made a few adjustments on my spares. One adjustment was I made mentally is to be more positive. I figured if I struck a lot, I wouldn't have any spares to fool with.
Dana starts to dig herself a hole early in this match with an open strike in the first 4 frames. Carol Norman doubles in the 4th and 5th, but opens in the 6th. We return to Dana Miller in the 7th frame with a chance to make up some pins on Carol Norman.
Now just 15 pins behind on a spare. 7th frame. She's Brooklyn.
And she carries it, so what a great break. The other thing that's happening is the fact that Dana Miller now, instead of moving closer to the center of the lane, tried to move to the left. It still didn't work, but she's got a strike. Down by 15 pins, she's going to have to try and double here on her better lane.
Miller with a big shot. She's to have any chance of winning this tournament.
And what a great shot that was. Dana Miller getting a great break in the 7th frame to carry a Brooklyn, and watch this one for a double to cut the lead to 5 pins. You can't throw them any better than that.
Carol Norman trying to stave off Dana Miller. Norman has not struck since the 5th. It's the 8th frame. And Norman throws a clutch shot in the 8th.
And here we have maybe what you mentioned earlier. Maybe Carol Norman had relaxed a little too much, because certainly that was the best shot she's thrown since the 5th.
Now she's up in the 9th, leading by 5. Trying for that first career title, coming off a strong performance in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. She didn't win, but she bowled the best she'd ever bowled on television. Here, not showing the nervousness that she'd shown in years gone by. 9th frame on a strike. High.
Oh,
and the 4 pin.
She just couldn't get the 4 to trip out. Carol Norman shot for a double in the 9th frame to go back into a 15-pin lead. She's hoping a high hit will carry, but the 4 doesn't go.
Converts the spare. And now the lady in red can take the lead.
She sure can, but again, she is switching balls to try and use a ball that'll go a little straighter. The other ball has been overreacting. It's been overhooking every shot this game on this lane.
In the 9th frame for the lead, Dana Miller. And light. The 3-5.
Light, and yes, she's still trailing, but that didn't go through the nose. She needs to convert this spare. She knows this ball is a little bit light. It isn't going to hook as much, and she's hoping it will get there, but it doesn't.
And for the spare, which keeps her in the match, but she's running out of frames. Carol Norman continues to lead Dana Miller, and the lead is 7 pins at the end of 9. A very interesting match.
Well, and as far as I'm concerned, maybe at this point Carol Norman made a mistake in allowing Dana Miller to finish on the left-hand lane. Dana has had nothing but trouble on the right-hand lane. The left-hand lane she has been at least able to maintain hitting the pocket.
Let's see what she does on the first ball in the 10th frame, trailing by 7.
And there's what you're talking about. Here, Dana Miller's first ball in the 10th frame, and if she can strike out here, she can force Carol Norman to double. A lot of pin action off the wall.
Miller, second shot, 10th frame. Another strike.
And there is maybe the biggest mistake that Carol Norman has made. We don't know. If Carol Norman can double at this point, she will win this match. But if Dana Miller gets 8 pins, or 9 pins, Carol Norman must double to win this match. So maybe that was a mistake in strategy. We will have to see.
What enjoyable women's sports action on Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour. Final shot of this match, the 3rd match of these Rockford, Illinois finals. For Dana Miller. Struck out.
And listen to this crowd. They've been like this all week. They've been like this for the last 12 years.
Great bowling town. So now Carol Norman, as Virginia Norton pointed out, has to double to win. Her opponent, Dana Miller, shot 194 after getting off to a terrible start with 2 open frames in the first 3. And now it's up to Norman in the 10th on a spare. Rather quickly to the line.
But it looks good. There's one.
She didn't waste any time.
She didn't waste any time, and maybe that's to her benefit. The longer you take, the harder you think about it. The more you think about it, the more tight you get. Carol Norman's first shot in the 10th. She needs to carry 2 strikes. Come on, ball. There's the first one.
We've had some of the most visual reactions, I think, from our bowlers on this telecast we've ever had. Now a second key shot in the 10th frame. Norman must strike.
And she does. And she will be the winner of this match and go on to meet Aleta Sill for the championship here in Rockford, Illinois.
Of this storied tournament in Rockford, Illinois, in its 12th year, that has never seen one woman win twice. Aleta Sill in the white against Carol Norman in the blue.
And this is Dave and Betty Sill, who just drove in from Detroit to watch Aleta bowl, and he's got his fingers crossed all the way for Aleta to win this title.
The in-laws watching there. This great champion, leading money winner in 1984. And she starts with that anger.
And boy, is she charged up. We've seen this before, but I think as the tournaments go by and she gets on television more and more, we see even more reaction.
Now, this appears to me to really be a confrontation. This woman has come such a long way in her 3 years on the tour. What clutch striking in her victory over Dana Miller, and now first shot championship match, the 10-pin for Carol Norman.
And she thought that was going to strike. She was sure of it. Ringing 10, she'll have to convert that and go on. We've got a lot of competition here in the last game, but one thing about this big match, Carol Norman seeking her first title, Aleta Sill trying to cement herself into first spot for Bowler of the Year honors this year after being runner-up last year.
We're even after the first frame. Carol Norman versus Aleta Sill. Oklahoma versus Florida by way of Detroit. 4 of our finalists from the western part of the country, including this woman.
taking her time, and I think that's something she has learned in the television appearances she's been involved with. She was a little quick before. Now she takes her time and makes good shots.
Second frame, a lot of speed, good hit.
And just like that, she's not going to let Aleta just take advantage of any bad breaks. She's making good shots. Aleta now, it'll be interesting to find out what she does on this right-hand lane that Dana Miller had such a problem with.
Aleta Sill, 21 years old. Her opponent, 22 years old. Competition getting tougher and tougher among the finest women bowlers in the world. And Aleta Sill goes into the lead with a double.
And I don't think Aleta was really sure about what was going to happen on that. She knew it was going to hit the pocket, but as far as Carey, she was just waiting to see what happened when the ball hit.
Aleta Sill, who won in Florida, who won in Milwaukee, who had a heartbreaking second-place finish to Inahashi, the Japanese participant, in the recent Queens finals. Third frame, going for Turkey. No, an 7-9 split. She can't believe it.
We're going to watch this shot. This ball, the way the pin action is, indicates the ball wasn't rolled well. I almost can't believe it either, because she hooks the ball about as much as any of the left-handers out here.
Now she went open. She took out the 7-pin and left the 9.
Carol Norman is unable to cash in on that opportunity when she opens in the 4th. Aleta comes back with a double, then Norman doubles. Sill adds spares in the 6th and 7th, as does Norman in her 7th. We return to Carol Norman with a 1-pin lead.
And 3 frames to go. Will this woman win her first career title? Or will Aleta Sill go on to her 3rd title of 1984?
And here you can see Aleta holding a rosin bag, just trying to keep her hand dry. Under these lights and with this kind of pressure, it's very easy to have a lot of perspiration, and if you do, you can lose the ball and throw bad shots.
For Norman. On a spare, in high, and the 4, 7, 9, 10. A bad late break for Carol Norman. And bad count.
Carol was out of position at the foul line, did not get a good arm swing. She went through the nose, left the 4, 7, 9, 10. And besides losing pin count, she is also going to have a very difficult time trying to convert this for a spare.
After the 4, 7, 9, 10, and taking out the 4 and 7, and going 149 and open through the 8th frame. So that is the 2nd split and the 2nd open frame for Norman. And she trails by 15 pins, with Sill coming up in the 8th.
And those are the kind of breaks that you don't want to give Aleta, because if she rolls this ball well, I expect a lot of reaction.
But she was late and flirted with being outside the pocket, and so she loses count. She was on a spare and was able to pick up only 6 pins.
She certainly was. Here she gets the ball far too much out to the left. The ball doesn't break sharply enough. This is not an easy spare, the 3, 5, 6, 10.
And she picked it up. People are saying around the country that Aleta Sill is the best woman bowler today. And we asked Aleta how she feels about that.
I'm glad that people think that I am the best woman bowler right now. It gives me a lot of confidence going into tournaments, and it's a nice feeling to come into centers and people knowing who you are and watching you bowl.
9th frame.
And she got a great break to carry that 7-pin, and has now put all the pressure on Aleta Sill. Aleta bowling at a 200 even pace. Carol Norman, if she strikes out, can shoot 209, and there is very definitely the possibility of a tie if Carol can start striking.
We're in the 9th frame now. Norman had that split in the 8th. In the 9th, She leaves the 7-pin.
She just can't rock out that 7-pin. She'll need to convert this and strike out to put even a little bit of pressure on Aleta Sill. I think Carol probably that time didn't want to have another split looking at her. She probably just made a mental adjustment, threw the ball a little harder and a little wider. And so now she's in trouble. She has got to strike out to put any pressure at all on Aleta Sill.
So we're at the end of 9, and you watch a great blooming champion, Aleta Sill, now regarded as the best in the United States among all the women who throw a bowling ball.
She certainly did a good job last year. She was runner-up to Bowler of the Year to Lisa Rathgeber, who won this tournament.
10th frame, first shot. 7-pin for Norman.
Again, a light 7-pin. She needs to convert this and strike to make Aleta Sill at least get 9 pins in the 10th frame.
Middle of the 10th frame, that lonely 7-pin. Carol Norman, if she's to have any chance, has to pick it up. Routinely does. So one more shot. If it's a strike, it would be a 188 for Norman, should she get them all down here in the 10th frame.
And that's still a very important count ball for Carol Norman, because if she does not get a strike, she leaves the door wide open for Aleta, even if she were to throw a split.
Last ball, championship match for Carol Norman, and she does manage a strike to go to 188 after she defeated Dana Miller 199 to 194. And now we go to Aleta Sill, who just needs a spare or strike to win her 3rd title of 1984. 10th frame, first shot. Could be the winning shot.
Look at her mother and father-in-law. They couldn't be more delighted. And once again, we see Aleta come through under pressure. And look at that reaction from Aleta.
Aleta Sill wins her 3rd title of 1984. We'll be back to talk to Aleta, the winner of the $30,000 victory of 1984. Aleta Sill of Florida. She won it 204 to 188 in the championship match over a courageous Carol Norman. Aleta, congratulations. Win number 3, 2 ahead of anybody else on tour.
Yeah, it makes me feel real good. I bowled well all week here, and everything just went my way.
What's about this anger that you have on those reactions on videotape? Oh, boy.
Well, I don't mean to do it. Just I don't know, it just comes out. I just feel so good when I strike. It just feels good to do that.
Aleta, one big question. A year ago, Lisa Rathgeber won this title and went on to win Bowler of the Year honors. Do you have any thoughts or feelings? Obviously, you've won 3 titles this year. Do you feel like it's an omen?
I hope so. I hope I have the luck that she has through the year. You know, after winning here, she went on to be Bowler of the Year, so maybe it will go my way this year.
And now, let's bring in Earl Widman, president of Fab Ball Incorporated, makers of the Hammer Bowling Ball.
Good evening, Aleta, and I'd like to give you this trophy on behalf of the Fab Ball Company, the maker of the hammer. And it's a wonderful bowling you did all week from the beginning to the end, and you just look super out there.
Thank you, Earl.
I'd just like to thank Fab for being here all week. It's just great that they sponsored our tournament, and I'm just thrilled to win it.
And now we have with us John Summer, who's proprietor here at Don Carter Lanes in Rockford and chairman of the board of the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour. Hi, John.
Good evening. Aleta, on behalf of Don Carter Lanes, the big brothers and big sisters of Northern Illinois, and that great hammer bowling ball, it's a privilege to present you with this check. You're a deserving champion.
Thank you.
$6,000.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you to John for hosting the tournament here and the big brothers and sisters. It's just been a great tournament all week, and the crowds here have been good, and we couldn't have done it without you.
Virginia and I will be back with